Okay, we are good.
Great. Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to our first Board of Trustees meeting for the 2026 calendar year. I'm glad to see everyone. The time is now 9:34 a.m., and I call to order the January 10th, 2026 meeting for the L.C. Whitlow Stokes Freedom Public Charter School. Welcome to our board meeting. My name is Dr. Anton Smith, and I am the board chair. We have a sufficient number of trustees present today to constitute a quorum for today's meeting. I will now hold a roll call vote for the trustees and ask that each trustee indicate their attendance by saying present. We have Stan.
Present.
We have Beatrice.
Present.
Carlos.
Present.
Morgan.
Present.
Kevin.
Present.
Kadeen.
Present.
Amy.
Present.
Tim.
Present.
And once again, I'm Anton Smith. So at this point, we would normally approve the minutes for the prior meetings, the November board meeting and the December special meeting. They aren't ready yet, so we're actually going to move that approval to the March 14th board meeting. So we're going to gently punt though that item for the time being, which now leaves us to approve the agenda for this January 10th meeting. Our apologies, it came out a little late this morning. It's a relatively brief and easy read. I hope you folks have at least had an opportunity to kind of peruse it. And so at this point, there is a proposal to approve the agenda for this January 10th board meeting. Can I please get a motion to approve the January 10th, 2026 board meeting agenda?
So move.
Is appropriately moved, and I believe that was by Kevin, properly moved by Kevin. Is there a second?
I second.
Second.
It was been seconded by Beatrice. Greatly appreciate it. At this point, is there any discussion? Being none, as has been appropriately moved and seconded, we will go into a roll call vote to approve the agenda for today's meeting, starting with Stan.
Aye.
Beatrice.
Aye.
Carlos.
Aye.
Morgan.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Kadeen.
Aye.
Amy.
Aye.
Tim. And Anton Smith is aye. It passes. The agenda for today's meeting passes and is approved. Great. Then, according to the agenda, the next item for discussion are the committee reports. So we will start with the Finance Committee headed by Carlos.
Good morning, everyone. Again, Happy New Year. The Finance Committee is very excited about working with the staff to complete the year. As you all today, Stuart and Bobby, and I'm not sure if Bill is on, will present to you an update on where we are with the audit. On the last time I think we met, we went through the audit and there were some items that needed to be addressed. And so today they will give us an overview of those items, as well as just give us a budget snapshot for where we are to date, year to date for as far as the budget goes. So, but we did have a finance committee meeting, and in session we discussed some strategic planning and got a status update, which I think we will be very beneficial for all to hear today.
Great.
All right. I'll jump in. Thanks, Carlos. Good morning and Happy New Year to everyone once again. So in terms of the audit, our audit was a clean audit. However, we did have some corrections, some internal control deficiencies that the audit spoke to. And I prepared a corrective action plan to address those issues. I'm going to share it, but before I share it, and I'm also, as Carlos mentioned, going to share a where we are now for the first 2 quarters, midway point for budget to actual. So, and feel free to jump in and ask questions at any moment. So, do we want to go through the audit report or go through the summary of the corrections? How do I just want to be as efficient as possible?
I think we should just do the summary for the corrections.
Okay.
Plan.
No problem. If I can share my screen.
Is it allowing you to share or not?
Got it.
Now it is. Yep, now it is. 1 second. I tried to prep myself for all of my 3 million tabs.
Hmm.
Are you guys seeing?
We are.
Okay. All right. So with this, no? So this, these are kind of long-term and short-term. Long-term meaning into this fiscal year, short-term meaning concurrently working on now. So with that being said, I'll just read through them. Update the current accounting policies and procedures to include supervisory review of account reconciliations at year end. To prepare and use a monthly checklist. I'm going to come back and drill down on some of these because in our finance committee meeting, I think there might have been some clarity that's needed, and I'll speak to them, but I just wanted to read through them once. Additional step is added to QuickBooks reconciliation to review all transactions and accounts being reconciled that have no status. Number 4 and 5 are kind of connected to each other. I just chose to parse them out. For Bill.com, clearing accounts and general ledger and any cash accounts reconciled monthly. Correct all sync issues in Bill.com. Prepare financial statements on a monthly basis. So now I'm going to drill down on a couple of these. Number 1 is the goal for year end. Number 2, I'm working on now. My first steps with this is to meet with C-suite with one-on-ones to try to create a consistent workflow as finance is kind of like the last to know, if you will. So just to be on top of things more consistently on a monthly basis. So the first step in that is creating my one-on-ones with the C-suite team. And I've started that. 3, additional step, adding a QuickBooks reconciliation review. That will be added. We have to decide what person that would be in terms of our capacity and staffing issues, who will do the reviewing. For 4 and 5, I spoke with our auditors, in particular Tiana, and she referred me to a fellow client of hers that is going to assist with clearing up any of these sync issues. And the sync issues are exactly how it sounds. QuickBooks and Bill.com have to talk to each other, and they created some issues with us in audit preparation. And I'm going to get a very practical way to solve them, so I'm not spinning my wheels for another month. 6 ties into number 2, if you're following along. The monthly checklist will help prepare, have the financial statements prepared on a monthly basis, as the goal is to cover checks and balances along the way, as opposed to everything kind of like coming towards the end of the year. So with that being said, I'll take any questions before I move to the budget snapshot. All
And
right.
so, and I guess an
Okay,
implied,
sure.
I'm sorry, so
Sure,
also
yeah.
an implied expectation related to these changes is that there will be developed corresponding SOPs to govern them.
That's exactly right. That's the point of meeting with the C-suite.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. Yep. All right. So I'll move on to the budget snapshot. 1 second.
And I just want to make sure, and everyone understood
Sure.
like the sync issues with were there any questions around that, like with Bill.com and sync issues? I just want to make sure that everyone understands, like that sometimes Bill.com is supposed to do something and doesn't quite do it, and then that throws off the number, even if by $10.
Mhm.
But if you do have a lot of them after $10, like, hey, why isn't QuickBooks and Bill.com? So there's a way to fix that, and that's what he's going to do in talking to the client. I just want to make sure that everyone understood that. I had to ask that question during our committee meeting, so I just want to make sure everyone understands.
Yeah, I wrestled with Bill.com a time or two, so I'm familiar.
Okay.
All right. So now I'll move on to our budget snapshot, and we're in our where we are. So can everyone see my screen?
Can you make that a little bigger, Stuart, please?
Oh, okay. It's really big on my end, so I just made the assumption. Tell me when you're okay.
Oh, I'm good right there. If everyone else is.
Okay. Is
Thank
everyone
you,
else
sir.
good? Okay. No problem. So pretty much we're at the midway point of our fiscal year, and we are pretty much on par with our spending. So our revenue is exceeding our expenses quite a bit right now, due to timing. The expenses will level out and catch up. So right now we've received about 13.5 million in revenue, and right now our expenses are 9.3, which is pretty much on par, and these will increase as the year goes on, which will on line 143 eat away, if you will, at the surplus, as it's a timing issue in terms of us getting our money kind of ahead of where our expenses are outpacing. But in particular, our personnel is a huge part of our budget and what we do, and we're pretty much on par with what we budgeted. A little surplus. That's probably going to get eaten into some. But as for now, I like the way we're trending into just staying on pace on what we budgeted for, as is direct student costs and our occupancy. As of December 31st, the actual cash in the bank was about 8.7 million, which I feel like is pretty healthy for our budget and any rainy days that we may encounter. But in interest of time, if anyone has any questions on the snapshot right now, I'll take them.
And I guess I don't know whether this question is really a you question or a Michael question, or maybe a combination of a you and Michael question.
Okay.
The being under budget for personnel, salaries, and benefits, are we carrying a lot of vacancies?
Mm, not really. We're not carrying any more vacancies than general. We're right now at about, at least in the last 3 months, we've carried about 2 to 3 vacancies per month, just with some regular transitions in and out.
Okay, I was just curious about the discrepancy. All right, perfect, great, thank you.
And Dr. Smith, I can probably answer some of that. So our fiscal year begins on July 1st. So it's July 1st through June 30th.
Mhm.
The month of July are, we're not spending a lot on teachers and stuff like that. So
Gotcha.
that's probably where you see like a bigger surplus here.
Right.
So
That makes perfect sense. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you both.
right.
One for me. Is this adjusted for where we are in the year? It sounded like no, but then I guess I would ask, like, if we're already over budget in certain categories, won't that just continue to grow, but by the time we get to the end of year in June?
Grow, you mean over budget in terms of in our favor,
No,
or
no, in the red, I guess. So for example, right,
okay.
income is up, and I assume we've received all the income we're going to receive for the year, so that number is relatively. Go ahead, Bobby.
No, we receive
No.
money in
This is as
quarters.
of for first 6 months. This is for half the year.
Yeah, so we're still going to get more money.
Okay, so I guess the actuals column AA, is that also
This
the target for the first 6 months?
Yes, column A is our budget. Yes. So right now we receive some of our money earlier, so that's why it's outpacing it.
What he's at, let me help. Stuart, what he's asking is the budget that you're showing, is that for the entire school year? Is it that the budget for year to date?
Oh, sorry. Yes, this is budget for year to date. Sorry, Morgan.
And so what he's asking is year to date, what you're showing is you're 3 million above on total income, and your expenses you're about $1 million below your budget, and your year to date net income is about $4 million, $4.3 million above budget on the year to date.
Yes, and I'll be a little bit more clear. So what I was speaking to earlier is these will most likely even out as we receive some of our money earlier per our budget. So they'll level out and probably will be more on par with what the actual budget is. So we just received more money sooner than our budget, how we allocated it out.
So what the board is, what you're saying, Stuart, just for clarification, is
Sure.
you guys continues to track on a month to month as part of
Mm-hmm.
the new operational plan. You'll be updating this and seeing where we are on the mark to mark, month to month basis. But as your projections, you're seeing that the budget that was approved previously, we're still on target as you're looking at your trending analysis.
Yes, correct.
And that budget had us breaking even between income and expenses.
Yes.
Then I think it would be helpful, at least for me. And so I appreciate Morgan's question because it gave me a level of clarity that I didn't have before. That this is, as of now, what's budgeted. I think it would also be helpful to have a column that includes the overall annual budget, just so we can see looking into the future. Um, it's kind of a short-term view and a long-term view of where we are and where we're going to be in relation, including with a over budget and percentage of budget. Just I think those having it both views would be helpful for me.
Okay, no problem.
I hear, and I think what we should do is just also just a quick, like column AA should be year to date, YTD
Right.
and actual YTD. So that just upfront makes it clear
Okay.
what we're
Right.
looking at.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
And then AB, so we're over budget on some stuff and under budget on others. And I do see the little, like the negative sign, like on some of them, if maybe we can color code those. Cause,
Sure can. Yep.
cause like it like for line 40, I think it's
142.
45. Yeah, 45
Okay.
and 46.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing. Like right now it's a good thing. And line, let's say 62, that is also a good thing. But that one's showing a negative 700, of our expenditures, and the other one's showing positive. So I don't know, just maybe a little in the future, maybe a little designing a little bit different, because having spent $700,000 less than we expected so far is a good thing, but so it's showing negative though. And then having $3 million more than expected, it's also a good thing, but that one's showing positive. So I would probably just I don't know, maybe I don't know if there's some accounting color coding or
Yeah, no, we could talk about in our finance committee meeting, and I'll just say right now in this space, in terms of coding, like I don't want to make it red because in the accounting world, red usually indicates not such good news. So, I have an idea of how to solve the problem, answer what you're saying.
Okay.
So, but I understand.
So just really quickly, if I can, let me just understand how this um, documentation is going to change. Right now, we've got actual budget, over budget, percent of budget. So we're going to have an actual to date, budget to date, and then we're going to have total budget for the fiscal year. And then we can talk about over budget and percent of budget. Is that how you're going to change this? I just want to be clear that that's what's happening. Okay.
Yes, you're clear.
Then that would solve everything for me in terms of just being able to read and understand it. And I don't know if we would actually need all the color coding, because then if there are certain things where you want to point out something, you could just add a notes page, and just put all
Yeah,
those things
I have
in
a
notes.
comment. I can add a comments column as well,
Yeah.
comment/notes.
Cool. Right. Cool. Thanks.
And thank you, Stuart, for creating this. I asked Stuart if he can create this. I don't think we've had this before, like how much we have spent on the halfway point. So thank you.
Very helpful. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions before I stop sharing? Okay, thank you.
Great, great, great. Is that it for Finance Committee? Any other questions, comments before we move on? We all seem good. All right, cool. Then at this point, we will move to Governance Committee chaired by Morgan.
Hey, everyone. A few announcements and points. The first one, Erica Porter has stepped down from the board. She gave us her resignation this week. She has a lot going on in her personal life and is going back to school as well. So we wish her well, and that does mean we have a vacancy on the Academic Excellence Committee. I'll talk about the strategic plan in a second, but please, 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 if you know anyone qualified, um, let's have a conversation with them. Maybe it's as a trustee, maybe it's as a committee member. But one of our goals is to continue building that pipeline. I think our biggest needs, well, we could use people in every category, but we're still looking for someone in finance. We now have that academic excellence vacancy, and we can always use fundraising skills as well. So if you know anyone who fits in any of those buckets, please send them our way. Second point is you will probably get an email from me in the next few weeks about our how we're doing on our part of the strategic plan. Bobby and his team have been working all year to implement the plan we approved, I guess, last summer. But the board has a role in that too. One of them is building the pipeline, so ensuring that we have a constant stream of talent is a big one. Another is our fundraising training. So Erica has already gotten us off on that point. And anyway, so I will lay out the goals in that email and have some suggestions of things we can do to ensure we're staying on doing our part of the strategic plan. Third announcement, we are moving all of the board's materials, policies, bylaws to SharePoint. Right now, we're kind of split between, we have a lot of documents on LiveBinder, and then we have some documents with the school, and then we have some documents in our email. We think it would just be good governance to have all those in one place. So Julia has graciously set up a SharePoint file just for the board that's hosted on the school's platform. So we already have access to the technology. And I discussed with Ms. Moore, we are going to, at some point this semester, work on migrating a lot of our legacy records over to the SharePoint so they're all in one place. And then there will probably be a request from me to some of the more veteran board members to also just go through your files. And if there's anything that you have that would be helpful to for us to obtain in our archives, send that over and we'll get that stored. But hopefully by the end of the year, you will not be searching emails. If you need a file, there will be one share file that we all have access to, and you can quickly go in and find all of the board's records for this year and for years past. And then the fourth point, I think I'm at 4 now. We'll talk about the bylaws, I think, after committee reports, but the kind of second work stream is there's quite a few policies that don't belong in the bylaws, but nevertheless need to be documented. So we have a SOP for how we appoint people and how we interview them. Bobby sends around our annual gift and conflict of interest policy. So policies like that, we are going to be, if we have the policy, we're going to take a look at it and make sure it's still the best it can be and update it. And if we're missing a policy, we'll be drafting those from, well, not from scratch, from other board best practices. But you should be hearing something about that probably at the next meeting about, yeah, just getting that work stream started. And we're going to kind of put a pin in that for the moment until we go through all of our old records and get them migrated over to ShareFile so we can make sure we actually have all the policies we need to look at. Amy, am I missing anything?
No, I think that's all we plan to discuss today.
All right.
Any questions?
Well, not a question. Actually, it's so you solved the dilemma for me. I was wrestling with when to jump in with this clarification. So I'd like to kind of expand on your second bullet related to the strategic plan. And as a reminder, not only do we have obligation and responsibilities as a board to make sure that we're doing the board's work, more broader board work from the standpoint of the strategic plan, but as committees, we are assisting the organization, assisting Stokes in terms of our areas of expertise and areas of responsibility from the committees to push forward the work of the strategic plan. And so I think it will be helpful going forward that each committee head is making sure that they've pulled out of the strategic plan the areas that are directly responsible to their area of responsibility. And then in the reporting, they're reporting out on the broader implications of the work of the committee as it supports the plan. And then the staff rep, the wonderful staff partner in this process is supplying some of the details, some of the operational things, just as further documentation that we're moving forward on getting those things done. So I really like to make sure that our reporting process is keyed into the strategic planning process. And then I like to work with Morgan in terms of how are we going to capture the accomplishments of the committees to make sure it's reflected in some kind of documentation for the board. So I really want to work with Morgan about what that looks like so that we're continuing to track our movement towards accomplishing this 5-year plan. So that's kind of what makes it seem like a great opportunity to kind of introduce that. So looking to change how we report in during the committee reports and how we actually approach our work as committees to get the plan accomplished. So any questions or comments about that? Okay. Cool. Thank you, Morgan. And
And
thank you, Governor. Yes.
and governance, thank you for all the work you're doing. I really truly appreciate it,
Oh,
especially
yes.
there was a lot of stuff in the bylaws. Thank you for putting all that together. I hope I'm not stealing academic excellence thunder, but I want to publicly acknowledge Erica Porter for the work that she's done with the Academic Excellence Committee. Just absolutely amazing, between her and Stan, just giving Julia and Maribel everything they need. I really, really appreciate her work. And she's not fully I mean, she's
Correct. I
stepping down
appreciate
from
that.
the board, but she's still going to be part of the committee.
Correct.
So which is a good thing. She just couldn't commit fully to being a board member.
Right.
So and there's a lot happening in personal life, but all very positive. And maybe she'll come back if she does come back to the board, she'll be known as Dr. Erica Porter when she comes back. So
Correct.
And Morgan, I have at least one resume to give you, working on a second for the Academic Excellence Committee.
Great.
So I'll send that over to you and Amy, and CC you, Dr. Smith. Just okay.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
I'll send it to you and Amy.
Perfect. All right. And Kevin, because Kevin's also.
Oh, Kevin, yes.
All right. Perfect. Anything else for governance?
Oh, Kadeen. No, it's Kadeen, right? On governance.
Kadeen's splitting time.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I think she's
leading
I'll
Deb.
send it to all y'all.
Yeah.
Blast email. All right, great. Thank you. Well, once again, a definite shout out to governance for their diligent work. We will see in a little bit in terms of the bylaws. It's a really good set of changes that they're proposing, and I'm looking forward to that conversation. Next, we'd like to move to academic excellence.
Good morning, everyone. And no, Bobby, you didn't steal my thunder. You just sort of added to it. Again, we want to reiterate this Erica's support for the work that actually happens in the classroom. We know that the victory is in the classroom. And in that vein, what I'm going to do now is do a sort of soft pass over to Maribel and Julia so they can speak to some of the successes of the programs that have been in place this school year.
Thanks, Stan. We just wanted to, what we're starting with the new year, we've started, both campuses are doing their next round of interventions, and we have some with the younger grades with literacy in kinder and first, and then math with the upper grades. So that's a big thing that we're pushing right now. And then also our fifth grade students just launched their IB exhibition project. It's their culminating inquiry project for all of the PYP from pre-K all the way to fifth grade, and where they go deep into a real world issue, and then they present their learning to the community. So expect some invitations in June to come and participate and listen to these projects. And they also take action as well. So that was launched at both campuses last week, and it's a progress that they keep working towards until June. So those are the two big initiatives that we're working on right now at both campuses.
Great.
Maribel, can you discuss the exhibition, like what they're doing, like with the 17 UN goals, or?
Yeah, so the heart of the exhibition is that, students, they mostly work in groups, and they have these 17 UN goals that anchor their inquiry, and they have to pick a issue that really resonates with them. That's part of the exhibition, right? They're picking something that's meaningful to them. They anchor it in the UN goal, and then from there they go through the whole inquiry. They have to do some research. They need to find some solutions. Are there actions? How am I going to present this issue that means so much to me, and have it mean to other people so that they want to take action as well? Right. And so it's really great. And they present in French or Spanish along with English. And so it's a really great project for them to demonstrate all of the IB learning that they've done throughout the years since they've been at Stokes. And they tap into experts if possible as well. If there's anyone we know in the community that has knowledge in this, then we try to bring them in as well. And so it's a big deal. And especially this year because not only that, but with the Aspire framework, we have that as one of our school-specific measure goals. And so we had to select two. And so our IB exhibition will be tied to one of those specific goals with the Aspire framework.
Excellent. Anything else? Any comments or questions for? I do have. I'm excited to announce the return. I may be still in Bobby's thunder, but that's okay. We're going to have the return of the student leadership presenting or talking to the board starting in March. So looking forward to hearing from the young folks. That's something I always get excited about every year, to hear from the leadership, the future leaders of the nation speaking to us as board. So that's going to be coming in next March, next board meeting. So great. Thank you, Maribel. And thank you, Stan. Once again, questions, comments for academic excellence? All right, cool. We will then move to development.
Good morning again, everyone. I'll just say really quickly before we turn it over to Erica, who's going to give some updates on Giving Tuesday. As folks know, I just recently stepped into the role on the development committee. And on your call back to the 5-year plan, I think is really helpful because I've been reviewing that to sort of be clear on some of the goals for Stokes over the next several years. And I've started to have some conversations, some very helpful conversations with Erica about development over the years, what has worked, where there was room for improvement. And I think there's going to be some additional conversations to streamline some of that and put into place, additional action items for us to continue to move forward successfully. I'll be reaching out to the board for us to get some time on the books over the next couple of weeks. The committee members, so Kevin, Tim, I'll reach out to you all and some of the other folks so that we can talk through some of these plans moving forward. But again, I'm very happy to step into this role and support the board, and looking forward to chatting with folks more over time. But Erica, I'll turn over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kadeen, and good morning, everyone. Let me share
Morning.
here with you. I just wanted to take a few minutes to share an update on our end of year, both our Giving Tuesday and end of year giving. And also to thank you for your support and engagement throughout these campaigns. I feel like they were very successful. As of today, we have raised a total of over $36,000 toward our $50,000 goal, with one additional stock gift still pending. We had a total of more than 75 individual donors, and about 25% of those donors were first-time donors. So that's just a really strong indicator of future growth potential. Who gave? We had participation from across the Stokes School community, board, staff, students, alumni, parents. We had several grandparents who participated and contributed. We had 5 partner organizations, and the parent-teacher organizations from both campuses participated. Our gifts range from $25 to over $6,000. The different vehicles, it was interesting that we are seeing donors use a wide range of giving vehicles, which is exactly what we're looking for, diversity. So, a little cash, a few checks, a lot of credit cards, a few ACH payments, but we also had donations from qualified charitable distributions through people's IRAs. We had one anonymous donation through a donor advised fund. I just mentioned the stock gift that's still pending, but this again is the type of diversity that we want. It increases stability. Few things that I want to highlight. First and foremost, our largest individual gift of the campaign was over $6,000, and that was from an IRA distribution. And I just want to publicly thank our founder, Ms. Moore, for that generous donation. We had
Ms.
a
Moore.
total, thank you, Ms. Moore, very, very generous, but we had a total of 3 of that type of donation. Qualified charitable distributions through IRAs. These were from people who were required to make a minimum distribution from their annual distribution from their IRAs, and they chose to give all or some of it to Stokes School. We had participation from across the generations. I think it's just important to highlight that the engagement is broad and distributed. I believe our biggest opportunity here is for donor retention, keeping donors engaged, especially those first-time donors. This approach is really a lot more sustainable than going out and starting over from scratch every year. So we want to make new friends, but keep the old. And so this is where donor stewardship comes in. Our goal is to help donors see the impact of their giving, and how it's connected to our work throughout the year. And we do that through timely acknowledgments, some clear impact stories. We started last year a quarterly donor newsletter to keep donors updated and engaged. And this is in an effort to have ongoing donor education. Again, I want to thank the board members for all of the different ways that you showed up through your leadership and participation. Your giving really set the tone for donor engagement and fundraising throughout this process, and your engagement really matters. And the simple ask rather is that you continue to do what you're already doing well and shared the story of Stokes School with, friends and family and those, who believe in the work that we do. And finally, this was a community-wide effort, as I've mentioned. So I want to thank the entire Stokes School community for support. And I think that this campaign gives us very strong momentum to carry into the coming year with our fundraising efforts. And that is my presentation. Happy to take any questions that you might have.
I have a question.
Yes.
And let me preface it with, it's not really intended to put any particular trustee on the spot, but I think it's helpful to highlight this. Can you please share with us the percentage of trustee participation and why it's so important beyond the obvious economic reason in terms of the story that you're able to tell, why it's important for trustees to give?
I will say that we have about 80% participation from the board, which is very strong participation. And again, thank you. One of the reasons that it's so important for us to be able to show 100% participation is because that's a question that a lot of foundations and donor organizations ask. They want to see that our board is 100% financially supportive of the school. And for us, that doesn't mean that you have to give, you give to your means, right? You give, you can also get other people to give in your name. But we just would like to be able to demonstrate, particularly to these foundations, that we have 100% giving from board as a strong indicator of support for the school and our activities.
Thank you. So my plea is to my fellow trustees is that let us be able to tell the story that we gave 100% as trustees, whatever that number is, just so we can be able to give Erica the ammunition to go out there and continue to do her excellent job of raising funds for the school. So let's please let's honor that commitment we have as trustees to get to that 100% is what I ask. Thank you.
Dr. Smith and Ms. Bryant, the remaining 20%, they can still give via the link that was sent from Morgan, or should go through the website?
That link does go to the website, so you can always give through our website. There's a donation button that will take you to a form, and it's a quick process. So yes, go to the website. It's the best way for us to capture the information, the easiest and best way.
Kevin?
Do we have a monthly giving program?
Yes, we do. You can also set it
Okay,
up
is it
through.
linked on this site? Okay,
Yes, it is.
I just don't want to know. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. We actually have about 5 monthly donors, and that's another good way to set it up. You don't have to give it all at one time, but spread it out over time, and that is also greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Amazing work, Erica. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. And I want to echo that. We're glad to have you, Kadeen, heading up development and looking forward to you providing the continued leadership to make sure that we're achieving the priorities in the strategic plan. So thank you all. All right. Any other questions, comments?
I just dropped the link in the chat. You know, even if you give $10, that'll be 100%. So
Right.
we might be able to have 100% by the end of this meeting.
Cool. Great. All right. Thank you. And then seeing no more questions for development, I will parlay this meeting into the HR committee chaired by me. And we have, for the first time in our meeting, Michael McCrae, who is the HR manager for Stokes. So a welcome addition to the Stokes family. Bobby got tired of me being in his ear about the role. And so all I really want to do is just to kind of give a quick recap of the 6 strategic priorities that are touched by HR, and then Michael will fill in some of the details about what he's been doing in partnership with the HR committee to move us towards accomplishing those priorities. So we have a priority related to professional development of faculty and staff, making sure that our staff have the skills, tools, and abilities that they need to be able to perform exceptionally. There's a strategic priority around making sure that we have a diverse and talented pipeline of individuals ready to come on board or able to come on board. So that relates to our kind of ability to staff and hire the right folks to do the work that we need to get done. We have a priority around developing a comprehensive succession plan, making sure that we have the next generation of leaders, the next generation of folks that will push the organization forward in place or identified, and that those folks are being developed. We have a priority around retention, making sure that our rates stay above 80%, making sure that once again we're keeping the folks that we have. Um, we have a priority around staff satisfaction, making sure that folks are one of the things that drives retention is that they're feeling good about their employment with Stokes. They're feeling part of the Stokes family, that they're feeling appreciated, rewarded, and all those good things. Once again, around make sure satisfaction is at least 80% for our staff. And then finally, making sure that we're developing the necessary policies and procedures and SOPs from an HR standpoint that govern us and allow us to do all the other 5 items that I identified. So those are the 5 priorities directly from the 5-year strat plan that we're going to be focusing on as HR committee to support Michael in his efforts to make sure he's able to move Stokes forward. So at this point, I will actually turn over to Michael McRae.
And thank you for that. And thank you, everyone. Just going to go through this report, not too long. This is what we've been able to accomplish in the last 90 days, kind of what we're looking forward to have in the next coming months. And then um, I'm going to have space for any questions. So right now, just kind of thinking about staff performance and professional development. A small committee, a staff committee of our Chief Operating Officer, Fregia, our Chief of Staff, Julia, and our Chief Academic Officer, Maribel, in partnership with me, we're developing several supports for our staff and our managers to really just help them align themselves with the work of Stokes, help develop goals, really help managers better manage their teams, and really gotten a lot of great outputs. In fact, this upcoming Monday, our managers will receive our first major output, which will be what we're calling staff management, like version 1. It's really focused on performance improvement plans and what is the strategy for dealing with performance issues. So everything from verbal warnings all the way to what do you do to really help drive impact there. We've also developed a MOY reflection. Now, annually, we do a MOY review. This is more evaluative. This year, we've decided to move toward a reflective aspect, which will focus on staff identifying holistic strengths, their impacts, growth priorities, the supports they need to be successful, and then also having that retention conversation early so that we can really start engaging with staff and saying, hey, what is it that we can do to keep you? And what is it that we can keep next year and long term? Now moving into just short compensation conversations. Right now, we are in the process, not necessarily led by HR really on Bobby, but HR is definitely taking a major part in helping identify changes for our pay scale. We're now at our annual review every 2 years, I believe. And so what we've done is we've done some research. We have looked into where we currently are. On median pay in comparison to competitors, those schools around us. We've looked at staffing trends and where we would like to potentially make investments as we are available, and then looking at some of our action points. We're looking at what things we can do if if budgets or finances aren't great, or if they are great. If they're great, obviously we give as much as we can afford. But if we find that there are cuts or things that we want to kind of address, we're looking at what opportunities for bonuses, variable pay, or and then also transparent communication and how we're explaining compensation. The best way to get people excited about their compensation is for them to know how it was derived and how they're getting paid. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Moving to strategic policy review, we've done a lot on policy review. We have either currently in review for January or February release the Stokes School Handbook, so that new iteration for this year and going into next year with a bunch of different changes there. We currently have a Stokes School telework policy that will be released in the next week. We have a Stokes School hiring and promotion guideline. This is going to help us kind of make better hiring decisions, aligning our hiring decisions with kind of like best practices with EEO. Of course, if you have a diverse staff, then you're meeting a lot of those goals there. And then we're also looking at an employee transfer policy. And then in development, we're looking at a professional development fund policy. Stokes gives about $500 per staff person for professional development. And what we have found is that we want to make sure that people understand the best practices for using it, but then also understand what policies exist in our school handbook to kind of make sure that that works. Additionally, we've developed an internal SharePoint site that will evolve over time. It will essentially become an employee resource center, and I can show it if people are interested, where policies will live and different resources. So right now we do have the policy side of it up. And it'll be ready to share next week or in the next 2 weeks. We are going to follow that up with an employee wellness side as well, working with our wellness coordinator. And then finally, for things that are coming in the near future that is kind of interesting or exciting, focusing on technical resources. The same group, me, Frezia, Maribel, and Julia, we are all participating in a Bellwether AI implementation cohort. The idea is to really get an understanding on how we can build capacity amongst the team, amongst or all of the staff, amongst all those who need it on AI tools, understanding how to responsibly use AI tools, developing action plans, tools and workflows, and then really getting some AI strategy that could be really used across the enterprise. AI is something that is really important. You all know whether it's good or bad or indifferent, how you feel about it. AI is a tool we would really want to take advantage of because it will help long term, really, with just driving excellence amongst our staff. And with that being said, that is my HR report. I am available for any questions. And again, I will also be happy to show the SharePoint site if that's of interest.
Great, great. Thank you, Michael. Any questions?
Just on the support side for teachers, especially in the use and integration of technology, is there a line item in the staffing model to support either a library media specialist and or a ed tech specialist and on site to be able to support just-in-time support for teachers and the innovative use of technology and projects and things like that?
I could pass that to Bobby. That's
Yeah, I think it's
more
more
of
of Bobby.
a
Okay.
question.
Right now, no. We've shifted some of the stuff, but it's it's part of our, I think, looking down the line, we don't have like one person. Like right now the library is being used as the learning lab, so there's some stuff happening in the library, so it would but we do have an IT person that does, they don't do innovation stuff, they just make sure that everything is working.
Yeah,
um
I just know that referencing back to the strategic plan, and especially in Michael's comment about technology and AI and things like that, we probably need to be thinking about anchoring that sort of talent at at both locations or rotating location, because this stuff is not only here and it's moving, but it's moving quickly. And while we also want to take advantage of it in terms of streamlining operations and policies and protocols, we also want to make sure that in the classroom, those skills and talents and appropriate uses of those tools is evident. So just, just wanted to share that and have that as part of our thinking going forward.
Thank you for
Great.
bringing that up.
Thank you. Other questions, comments, concerns? Great.
I just want to acknowledge Michael publicly. It's been great having Michael on board. Like, it's been like kind of like, hey, take it to HR, and to have HR there in the building, answering questions, knowing the policy very well. It's been great. So I just wanted to acknowledge, thank you, Michael, for coming aboard. Thank you, Anton, for the gentle nudges on hiring an HR person.
I breathe a little easier from a liability standpoint. Absolutely, that since Michael came on board. So yes. And the other person I want to make sure I mention Deshaun Wise, who's an amazing partner and co-leader and HR expert for the HR committee. She's actually a parent who lends her expertise to the HR committee to make sure that we're really moving this forward. So I want to thank Deshaun publicly about that. All right. Any other questions, comments about HR? Thank you, Michael. Greatly appreciate it. Well done. All right. At this point, then we can pivot and turn things over to Bobby for his head of school report.
Ready? Just give me a moment so I can all right, can everyone see my screen?
Sure can.
And go to the slideshow. Alrighty, so thank you all for joining me here today. And this is the CEO Head of School report. I'm gonna go ahead and there we go. All right, so the content here actually we're going I didn't get the stuff for the student government visit, I mean the student council visit, but our students did visit the student council as part of their um project, but unfortunately no one took any pictures. So our students also visited Howard University. They met with Stacey Abrams. I want to talk about student ambassadors, student government, school garden, EL education, poetry night at Busboys and Poets, Stokes night at Capital One Arena, and then I want to highlight staff, and of course, my favorite is alumni on the move. So um, we encourage our teachers to make sure that they take the learning beyond the walls of the classroom and to visit. You know, we're here in a city where people travel from around the world to come visit some of the stuff that's right here in our own backyard. So our fourth graders recently from East End took a trip to Howard University, and while they were there was a special speaker there, and Stacey Abrams was in the library speaking to some Howard students. She heard that our students were here or were there visiting, and she absolutely invited them in, and they got a chance to speak with her, take pictures, ask questions. Just such a wonderful human being. I really appreciate Stacey Abrams, welcoming our students. So um, that was a great experience for everyone, and the teachers were very very like, oh my God, y'all don't know this is like Stacey Abrams right here. So that was great. In November, we had the swearing in of our student ambassadors at the East End campus and our student government at the Brooklyn campus. And the student ambassadors at the East End campus, they were sworn in by Colonel Melissa Dombrock. I hope I got that name right. Colonel Melissa Dombrock. And our student government were sworn in by Abdul Kareem Ewing Boyd, who works um, at the office of the Deputy Mayor of Education. So next month we will have them Dr. Smith said, we will have them share out what they've been doing. They've only had one meeting so far because they got sworn in November, and then we had Thanksgiving break, and then they had the meeting, and then we had winter break. So they haven't really. So they will be presenting in in March. So one thing I learned that I didn't know before is that DC here, the schools in DC, there are over 130 school gardens. Um, but there's only one best, and Stokes Brooklyn campus was named as the best garden in DC by the Office of the State Superintendent, by Aussie. And I want to give a shout out to our students, Rosie and Felix, who wrote an essay on why they thought the school garden was the best. Aussie School Garden Specialist Sam Ullery, I hope I got that right. came to morning lineup to share the exciting news, and as part of us winning the award, we're going to get the Gilda Allen Golden Shovel as a prize. I also want to shout out Sunny Keita, who leads the garden program, and Sunny Keita is actually the great grandson of Elsie Whitlow Stokes. So shout out to him in the garden program and to the students and to the Brooklyn campus. That's kind of cool. We have the new curriculum, EL education, and members of the EL education came to our campus to observe the school in December, and they were very, very impressed at the way we have implemented the curriculum. During the visit, they loved the way that we cultivated beautiful spaces and built strong relationship with the students, and how we had very high expectations for our students. Overall, they described the day as a joyful and purposeful learning in action day. And Maribel, I think there was some more. Is Maribel still here? There was some more that happened from that visit, that something with Mundo Verde coming to see how we had implemented.
Yeah, they had come in October, it was, for our first round of walkthroughs as part of our strategic planning with them, and just to see how our implementation was, since this is our first year. And the coach that we're working with, she was really blown away across the LEA at both campuses, and just how strong our teachers have been implementing the program. And that is, with the leadership of our instructional coaches, Rochelle and Jacqueline, and then our principals as well, Senora Costanza and Hope Brewington. And so she was just like, wow, I can't believe it's only been 3 months. It seems like you guys have been teaching this curriculum for years. And so it was really great. We were shouted out in their East Coast newsletter as well. And also there's Mundo Verde is also selecting, they also came to visit as well. And so they were here just this past week as well, looking at literacy in action at the Brooklyn campus. So yeah, it's been very positive. So we're very, very proud of the hard work that our teachers and our instructional leaders at each campus have done to really bring this to fruition and with the implementation. And the kids have been really engaged with the new curriculum as well.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for that added remark. The East End fourth graders, they had poetry night at Busboys and Poets in Anacostia, and our scholars took the stage to recite some of their amazing poems. As you can see, Ms. Moore, Ms. Bryant were there as well. We had the students were, they had a little special surprise, and our very own Ms. Moore read a poem from her new poetry book that she just recently released. And it was an amazing night. And just want to give a shout out to all the parents that helped out, definitely the teachers that put it together, and it was great. So we're going to see if we're going to try and do it again, hopefully, for Poetry and Jazz Month. See if we do something over at the Anacostia Busboys and Poets. We had
Mr. Bell, could I interrupt and just emphasize that the students read their original poems, the ones that they had written?
Yes, I'm sorry. So these
okay.
were original. And Ms. Morris were also original. We had Stokes night at Capital One Arena, and the dance team of Stokes performed at halftime. They did an amazing job. They had performed at Maya Angelou, and someone from Duke Ellington School of Arts saw them perform, and they've been invited now to perform also at the Duke Ellington School of Arts during their Black History Month celebration. They've gotten after this, they have probably around 4 requests from different schools. They're going to actually perform at both campuses, Duke Ellington School of Arts, and I think they have one more performance outside of school. So this is really, really cool. And that night, I want to thank Truist Bank. That is our bank. They actually got us tickets into the suite, and I want to thank Morgan for showing up to support our dancers. It was really, really cool. So big shout out also to Ms. Jackie London. She is their dance coach, for just doing an amazing job with these young scholars. All right, moving on. So I want to highlight a couple of our staff members. First, I want to highlight is Udelki Rush. She's a kindergarten teacher at the East End campus, and she got nominated for the Life Changer of the Year award. Life Changer of the Year recognizes and rewards kindergarten through 12th grade educators across the country who are making a significant difference in the lives of students by exemplifying positive leadership. So big shout out to Udelkis, Senora Udelkis. And again, I don't know, I just saw the nomination like pop up like on our Facebook, like I think they tagged us, and I'm like, whoa, when did this happen? But it was great. She kind of tried to keep it a little discreet, but our director of communications found it and made sure it got to our Facebook. I also want to highlight our very own Ms. Erica Bryant. She recently completed the Harvard Kennedy School of Education program titled Empowering Black Leaders. And the Harvard Kennedy School did a write-up on her about the work that she has done and continues to do to live out the school mission and vision and leading with love. So congratulations, Ms. Bryant, for being recognized. And my absolute favorite part of the of my presentation is called Alumni on the Move. And during this time, I like to highlight, different alumni who are doing great things. And typically I highlight those who are got into college or are well into their career and just doing amazing things. But now I want to highlight this young man, Aiden Yonkers. He's an 8th grader, and he's doing amazing things now. This year marks the 50th anniversary of Go-Go here in the nation's capital, and Aiden plays drum for a group called Panther Funk under the leadership of his music teacher, Mr. Simmons, and he attends, goodness, I forgot the middle school. It's one of the Capitol Hill schools. But his love for music started here as a member of the steel drum program under the leadership of Mr. Richards. And Aiden and his band members played across a lot of different venues. And they played alongside go-go legends like Sugar Bear and Go-Go Mickey and at the DC Jazz Festival. Earlier this week, he performed at the Lincoln Theater for the Go-Go Music Awards. And I think I can get a clip, hopefully. Let me see if I can, I think if I clip, let's see if I can get, nope. So I was ready for this, so give me a second. See if I can go to this. Did my screen change? It didn't? Okay, hold on a second. Can you see Aiden?
Yes.
And then that was at the Go-Go, the camera right on him, but this is also at the Go-Go. And this is Aiden right here. Yes, sir. So
I want to have as much fun as he has in doing anything. I just want
I
to.
mean, it was amazing. And it was at the Lincoln Theater. The mayor was there, the council member, council member McDuffie, who actually wrote a legislation on making go-go the official sound of DC and backing it up with funding for the arts and humanities. So it was great. Aiden is applying to the Duke Ellington School of Arts this fall. So he just applied through the My School DC. And Duke Ellington's a little bit different. Not only do you have to go through the lottery and apply, but you also have to perform. And I think we can see that, his performance, he's gonna probably get in. Let me go back to
And
so
I just want to chime in. I actually work with the Go-Go Museum, and that was one of the big highlights of this. This is their very big event for their 50 celebrating 50 years of Go-Go this year. And so
yes.
this was a very, very large event, and I did not realize that he was connected to Stokes. So as soon as his face popped up, I was like, I know this video. It's amazing. So but this was a very big deal. So this is really great for the young man.
Yeah. And again, the mom really wanted to acknowledge Stokes School and Mr. Richards for, for cultivating, being able to cultivate. And this is where I think it's very important that, that we highlight not only academics, but to really do the whole child. They get the PE every day, they get recess, they get the art and music. So this is yeah, it's great. So yeah, Aiden, actually that's my son's best friend. So he was there that night too to watch him perform on stage. And it was a very, very big event, very big event. His brother heard that I was going to highlight him, so his brother didn't want to stay behind. So this is his brother, Glenn Yonkers the third. His older brother, we call him Trey, also Stokes alum. He's doing amazing things at McKinley Tech. Last month, he won the Omega Sci-Fi Fraternity Incorporated DC Chapter's International High School Essay. And I know Stan will probably be happy with this. Um, the title of the essay was "In a World Powered by Artificial Intelligence, What Does It Mean to Lead with Integrity and Purpose?"
Ouch.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
and I
Absolutely.
and I wish I would have gotten to him a little bit because I would have asked him to lead with love. I would have say how do you lead with love as well. But I just got some news about it. I don't want to. I hope I don't blow his spot up, but I everyone knows I got a big mouth. He recently heard from a few college on early admissions, and I'm just going to say I have a feeling he's very much leaning towards North Carolina A&T in the electrical engineering program
Oh,
there,
awesome.
which was a very difficult program. They were encouraging him just to go in as just undeclared, but he's like, nah, this is what I really, really want to do. And he got in early admissions. So congratulations to Trey on his accomplishments.
That is absolutely awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. And again, this is why we do the work that we do. And then finally, a couple of upcoming events. We have the MLK Day of Service, where we've partnered with Mary House. So that will be Monday, January 19th at the Brooklyn campus, and the Stokes PTA will be doing something there to benefit our friends and neighbors at the Mary House. And I think it's from 10 to 12. If you guys are looking for a project to do for MLK Day, come to the Brooklyn campus. And we also have our upcoming spelling bee. I don't have the exact dates. I don't think I have the exact date, but I'll make sure that we will inform you when that happens. And I believe that is my report.
Quick appeal. I do appreciate, and one of the things I've been talking to Bobby about, we are seeing really, really good board of trustee support at a variety of activities and events. And so I want to encourage that. But we're typically seeing a lot of the same faces. And so I humbly ask that you take a look at the calendar. I asked Bobby, can you resend the calendar of the event for the rest of the year? identify a couple of things that you can do between now and the end of the year, whether it's graduation at one of the campuses or one of the events, the spelling bee. And just once again, I think it's so important that this board be transparent and that we be seen as an active part of the school rather than this lingering figure in the background that's looking over Bobby's shoulder. So it really helps for folks to see us. I'm looking forward to me doing a poor job as a referee again and getting yelled at by these grown folks that I thought were kids at the upcoming basketball game. But I'm going to do my things. I'm going to try. So once again, just a sincere thanks to the folks who have been doing things, and a sincere ask that folks try to put one or two things under your belt between now and June, and it will be greatly appreciated by the school and by me.
Thank you.
All right, great. Then at this point, I'm sorry, any questions or comments for Bobby at a school report? All right. Seeing none, at this point, we will pivot to discussion, actions, and voting items. And I believe we are front and center for handing it over to Morgan and governance because the thing on deck are the bylaws.
Okay, a little less exciting than Bobby's presentation. Sorry, y'all. I'll just share my screen really quickly. I'm going to share. In the last meeting in November, we kind of walked through the bigger changes, and there was just a handful of um, points for the team to take back and think on. So I'll walk us through those changes, and then there's one final topic that we need to come to a consensus on. And then I'm going to close this session by hopefully asking for a vote, not to put these bylaws into effect today, but to tentatively approve them so that we can share them and share them with the PCSB for any feedback or kind of their stamp of approval. And then we will put them into effect. But I'd like to get to a part today where the board is tentatively signed off, subject to any comments the PCSB might have. Can everyone see
Yes,
my
sir.
screen? Okay. So this is a red line. So this is showing the changes since the last time we looked at it in November. I won't, some of it's just legalese, but I'll briefly explain the substantive changes. First one is just a clarification that it's really the government committee's responsibility to monitor board composition and be keeping track of appointments and removals. And then Amy brought up a very good point. We are capped at 15 trustees, so it actually would not be great to have 15 trustees. So this is just a clarification that we want to always have an odd number. And ideally it's 9, 11, or 13. We'd like to save those last two slots for, you don't want to be at 15 because if someone really great comes along, then we won't be able to bring them in. We are currently at 10 with Erica's resignation. So again, another plug to please send any qualified candidates our way. This next one is actually our discussion point. So, and just to set the stage for everyone, at the last meeting, we discussed there's a number of veteran trustees who have been on the board for a long time, and we are working on kind of a stepping down schedule to make sure that the whole board doesn't step down at once, and it's a staggered process. But going forward, we want to have very clear rules about term limits. And so what has been decided is that ordinary trustees will have the ability to serve 2 3-year terms, so 6 years. And then in special circumstances where there's not a very clear successor, or it'd be better to have them on for a year or two so that they can transition their skills to the next person, you can serve up to 2 additional 1-year terms. So everyone gets 6, and then in special circumstances, you can get 1 and 1, making it 8. What we did not come to a consensus on is should there be any flexibility whatsoever to serve beyond 8 years. And again, this is not for our current trustees. This is going forward. The counter argument is that, think if COVID happens again and there's a long period where we don't have a clear successor and we really need that key person to stay on beyond 8 years, that would then require amending the bylaws to make that happen. So do we want that flexibility, or should we as a board say term limits are a good thing? You've had 8 years of warning that this was going to happen. There's really no need to have that flexibility. And I'll summarize the rest of the changes, but this is the one bracketed part where I'm still hearing kind of different opinions, and we need to come to a consensus as a board on this piece.
For me, it seems that the 2 additional 1 years is the flexibility. That by offering the ability to have a 1-and-1 extension is the flexibility that we would need or want in a policy. I'm concerned, and I think I've had this conversation with Bobby. I think there's some benefit in being able to bring in new blood, new ideas, new approaches, new thoughts, new energy. And so the concept of a trustee for life causes me heartburn. And so that's where I stand. I think flexibility comes from the 1-and-1. BC has to stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, sorry. In general, I would agree with you, Anton. I think in practice, the ability to source trustees is a very difficult and challenging thing, and the fact that it requires unanimous consent, and the fact that earlier in this conversation, I think Morgan, you were flagging some of the challenges around identifying people for specific skills. There's not necessarily need to sort of constrain ourselves via the bylaws, given that this requires unanimous approval of all trustees to extend someone's term. So there are extenuating circumstances often where you're looking for a particular skill set, someone's willing to continue to add capacity in that space, and until you can find someone who's appropriately available to, to fill that gap, you want to have the ability to sort of retain someone. And if someone's not performing as a trustee, this doesn't preclude you from removing them or adding new perspective. So in general, I think bylaws should be a little bit more flexible and lenient, and not constrictive, because you can't anticipate every scenario that comes down the line. So that's my perspective. I think this clause makes sense because it puts the decision in the hands of the full board, and it's not like a majority, it's like unanimous, right? So I think that's a pretty high standard when it comes to extending someone's term.
I see Kevin Tan.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I think the committee has heard my opinion on this, and I just want to share with the rest of the group. One of the things that you could do to try to deal with this, I agree with the notion that 8 years, you do want to get new blood on the board. And part of having the term limits here is to make certain that you get a new set of ideas, people with new sets of ideas, new energy, bringing that onto the board. I also recognize that there are folks who may come off in 8 years and it's like, hey, that's a really important, that person has an important skill set. That person brings a lot to the. There's nothing here that says that someone cannot, after that consecutive 8 years and taking 1 year, 2 years, 3 years off, could come back to the board. So that may be, and that is a clause that you can put into this particular, that you put into the bylaws, so that if you do want to bring someone back after a period off the board where you're bringing new thoughts and new talent into that circuit, into the board, maybe you can actually, maybe that's something that you could do. I just wanted to put that out as an option. It may allow us to have the 8 consecutive years, get new blood onto the board, and still be able to bring someone back if we recognize, hey, that's a skill set that we really need.
Next, I saw Stan.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, somebody steps down or their term limits have twilighted, nothing's to stop them from being a presence on a committee, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
So I don't know if we need to put the language in formally, but so we don't lose momentum, so we don't lose talent. Does it make sense to add language that speaks to that?
Yeah, I mean, I well, hold on, let's get everyone Amy.
Amy was next.
Yeah, hearing Kevin's comment with regards to adding additional language. I actually think the fact that we actually have still left it kind of broad, meaning everything Kevin just mentioned we can accomplish. You know, the language there now, no trustee may serve more than 8 consecutive years. And just like Kevin said, that you could go off the board for a month, a year, 2 years, and you can return. So I don't know that we need any additional language because it still gives us the flexibility to, I guess everyone's comments, it gives us the flexibility to fill that void if needed. So, I mean, because we could have a very short, time off the board. I mean, literally, the way it's written now, it's broad enough that it could be 1 day or 1 year or anything. So, adding further language may just complicate it. I think leaving it somewhat open-ended, it's clear our intent and purpose is that we want people for no more than 8 years. That's going to be our focus and intent, and hopefully we're working to fill that void after year 3, after year 6, definitely after year 7 or 8, if we need to utilize the additional up to 2 1-year terms. So I think, the one thing that, we would like to move forward to is when we do put people on the door, we haven't necessarily asked that the individual commit to that 3-year term, right? Because then it will start allowing us to properly plan for what's going to happen. I think, we have had lots of board members and we haven't said, can you look at your personal calendar, your life calendar, and can you tell us you can properly serve for 3 years? And can you commit to that for us? Because then it gives governance, the board, we're put on notice, right? You're serving at that 3-year mark. And at 2 years, you say, I plan to ask for, my second 3-year term. Or you can say, I plan to ask for 1 more year. And then we have time to properly plan for that transition. So I think the language is written currently, will fulfill all of the needs that I think I've heard everyone who's spoken so far mention. Just my thoughts on that.
Thank you, Amy. Tim?
Yes, thank you. I was just gonna say that I just want to echo what BC was saying, and just that um, I like where things currently are with this language, with the unanimous consent factor in there. I think I just want to restate that how important that is. That I just think that it gives us the flexibility to be nimble from our, like, these are bylaws, and not keeping the flexibility in the bylaws. I think was something we should really make sure that we still have. And I think the governance committee has done a good job of putting it in a way to where we can do that. And I don't know that there's any additional clarification language that necessarily should be here. When Morgan was talking about policies and other things that they're working on with the governance committee, maybe there is a place there where we can talk about policies that we could include there that could address some of the things that we're talking about here, and not necessarily be something that we put in the bylaws.
Gotcha. And if I could jump in for a quick second, I think I was next in line anyway. My only concern, I think I echo Kevin in terms of having better language. My concern is if because this here it says no consecutive years, and then we do a 1 day wink and a nod, that doesn't allow us to bring in new blood. And so I think there should be a minimum of a year. And so, like I said, so I think clarity about that. So we aren't in the moment debating about, well, the person's been gone for a day, let's bring them back. I think some clarity around what that off time looks like would be helpful. That's what I think. Once again, we're trying to really honor the ability to bring in fresh blood. Bobby.
I think I appreciate the flexibility. There are 66 charter schools here in DC, and they each have the same, 13 to 15 board members is what you can have, which is about 1,000 people. Over 50% of those people have to live here in DC. And there's some people that serve on 2 or 3 different boards just because there is a shortage of, let's say, academic excellence people or finance people, or they might be doing other things. We're serving on other boards where, they don't have time to serve on a charter school board. Um, I think it takes time, like, to find someone of quality. And if we were to lose, let's just say somebody has 2 people on the same committee have to leave, and the one person that stays, their term is up. We don't have anyone in the burner coming in, ready to come in. It gives that flexibility. So I think having the language give a little bit of flexibility to the board, not to say that we shouldn't constantly keep wanting new people coming in. That should be like a priority. Like, hey, we should be constantly looking for new board members and in case, and having them in the committee so when someone does step down. But I think it's in our own board, it's been kind of difficult to fill all the spots. So this gives us a little more flexibility. So I like I like the language and the flexibility.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Robbie. BC?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, be repetitive, but we're at 10 board members now, so I think the idea of being hampered in our ability to bring in new blood is only really true if we were already sort of at max capacity and we were struggling to sort of roll folks off. And as far as I can tell, it's really difficult to actually get to whatever idealized version of board composition we have, whether it's 11 or 13. And so nothing about the way this is written in practice feels like it limits our ability to get new blood or perspective, right? And the fact that I do think, as Bobby has already mentioned, it's not that easy to find board members. Bobby was asked to consider joining another school board, right? So the pool that we're drawing from is very limited. And I don't think it actually makes a ton of sense, just from my experience as someone who's on multiple boards, to write language more restrictive than this. This is pretty restrictive, right? Requiring every board member to agree to extend someone's term. What can you get folks to agree on unanimously in general, right? So I don't necessarily know why we would further limit our ability in extenuating circumstances to keep someone on, that allows the school to be effectively governed, right? When you can easily see that it's going to be hard to get to 13 or 15 even, in general, by practice.
Gotcha. And I agree. And I think Kevin and my concern about the language defining the break can easily be addressed in the policy, and that we can change a lot easier than changing a bylaw. So I think the language here could serve as is.
Miss Moore, I saw you were gonna weigh in.
My hand raising function doesn't seem to be working. I'm not going to take a position on any of the alternatives that have been mentioned. I think they're all something that we could work with. But I want to point out also that there's a set of SOPs for the governance committee that's been hanging around for several years. I don't really know where they are right now, but I think I can find them that would allow the committee that suggest when the committee should start, the schedule with which the committee should start looking for replacements. So, for example, if somebody's in their last year of service, when do you start looking for a replacement for that person? That provides some flexibility also. So we don't wait until the last minute to try to replace somebody.
I think that I need to. Oh, Kevin.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think that's critically important, and that's the responsibility of us as the governance committee to do that planning for when folks are going to step off or supposed to step off the committee. And like for people who to get set up for the next year, we should probably start right now, identifying 4 or 5 potential candidates that could be brought on to replace 1 or 2 positions. So yeah, that's on us to try to figure out as a committee.
I mean, there's a HR philosophy that I think that applies here, in terms of recruiting strategy, and is whether or not you're doing continuous recruiting or spot recruiting. And so, I think the points one raised is what's our target? What's our target level? Is it 11? Is it 13? And are we continually regardless of what our level is, short of 15, will we always be looking for trustees, or will we only start looking for trustees when a slot is opening up or someone leaves? And so there's a philosophical decision that governance needs to make about how they're going to approach recruiting.
Yeah, just real quick, Anton. I mean, if listening to what everyone has said about how difficult it is to find people, then our job should always be, I think automatically we should always be looking for new board members.
Right.
So if it is that difficult, then we should always be having our eye out to see, and that way, because based on what everyone is saying, we probably won't ever get to 15 because it's too difficult to find the people that are out there. And I'm going to take your experience at face value. I do know there are a lot of talented people in this city.
Yes.
And sometimes we can do a better job of identifying the pool, of filling that pool of candidates. So we can think about how we might do that better.
But in light of what was mentioned earlier, so it seems what I'm hearing is that our target is 13. Clearly, it can't be 14 because it's an even number. And there was a great comment about 15 leaves us unable to. I think Morgan started with 15 leaves us unable to add a star that becomes available. A free agent pops up, but we're already at the max. So it seems that inherently 13 is the target.
Yeah, I think that's right. So maybe we remove this other language about 9 and 11.
Okay.
Okay. And then it sounds like we're also fine with the language as is, keeping the unanimous consent flexibility. And Ms. Moore, I will go hunt down that policy. We did work last year on a policy for actually, once we get a resume, how their onboarding and that process works. I will hunt down the recruiting policy. But I'll point out we did in the last version, so it doesn't show up as a change. We did put some pressure on ourselves via the bylaws, to ensure we set up the system where we want pretty much 1/3 of the board to be rolling off every 2 years. Which you think about it, I think that means we will be constantly recruiting, because even a year out is kind of tough. So, you need a year or two to really find the replacement for those people.
Does that math work? The 1/3 rolling off given the extensions?
Well, we shouldn't be using the extension. It works with if the term's 6 years. It doesn't if it's 8, right?
Okay.
It's based on the standard 2 3-year terms.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'll just quickly run through, see we're at the time. The other changes. This is the parent trustee language. So parents, it was brought up that we have really great parent trustees right now, and they previously were going to do just a 1 3-year term. So rather than extend it to 6 years, because we have had difficult parent trustees in the past that may have not appreciated the work that the board does versus being an advocate for their own individual children. We're going to keep the parent trustee term at 3 years. And then if we want to keep that trustee on, or if their student leaves the school so that they're no longer eligible, we can vote to convert them to an ordinary trustee, and then they just pick up the balance of the term they would have had they originally been appointed a ordinary trustee.
Which is 3 and another 2.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
they'll be eligible for everything.
Yep.
And then we also added, I think this was Tim's suggestion, and please just raise your hand or jump in if you want to talk about any of these points more. Tim brought up, rather than trying to keep track of, oh, this person stepped off in November, this person stepped off in May, this person, and kind of have these partial years. When you're appointed, your actual date that you're appointed just starts at the next annual meeting. So if we appoint someone in April, for purposes of the bylaws, their term will start at the next annual meeting in June. So we don't have to keep track of months, basically, and we'll just work with years.
Yeah.
We've fixed Bobby's title. We've clarified the attendance policy a bit more. So we were proposing if you fail to attend 3, we've clarified regularly scheduled board meetings, your position's automatically declared vacant. But we added that a majority of the board could waive that rule for special circumstances. And Antoine suggested just clarifying what those circumstances are. So I think probably what we're thinking here is something medical, but perhaps not. But we just wrote extraordinary circumstances expected to be short-term in nature. And
Can I
maybe
raise can I raise a concern that came to me about this? It's one thing to attend meetings, it's another thing to be an active trustee. And so should we include language that requires active participation in a committee? Rather than just I show up at meetings and so I am in good standing?
I am not the deciding factor, but that makes sense to me.
I'm throwing it out to the universe.
We would have to come up with a mechanism on tracking attendance at the committees, because right now we don't track attendance. Like we don't do like an official roll call and keep notes like that. So
Committee chairs could.
Okay.
Committee chairs are convening meetings. Committee chairs could keep track for an administrative purpose of who's actively involved in those committee meetings. Tim?
I
this is
would just
Carlos.
say, the same thing. Same thing I said before. Of I like that idea. I think that's a really great idea. I feel like that's not a bylaws thing. I think that is a policy and SOP.
Okay.
That's definitely an SOP one, because that could be that one could definitely get tricky depending on how we want to do it. And we want to be flexible on what that is, because that might mean in different years what we want participation to look like might mean something different. And we wouldn't may not necessarily want to change our bylaws to describe that, you know?
What if you use regular broad language like attend a minimum 3 regular meetings and regular participation? So you set the parameters and that regular participation is defined somewhere else. Just what do you think about that? It's defined in a policy.
As long as there's a place somewhere where there's a flexibility to kind of you can redefine, participation as defined in whatever SOP.
Right.
And that way we have the flexibility to do that. I think that would be great.
Okay. Other thoughts?
Carlos, were you about to jump in?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I do like I read the bylaws and I think a lot of the suggestions are good, especially trying to maintain flexibility and extend people's term. It is getting harder, from my perspective, because I've asked several people once at different levels, senior levels, let me just be direct, if they would consider people's time and other focus. So when you do have people willing to participate, and until you can find a good replacement, it is good to have flexibility. I do, and I agree, I hear with Tim's point, I do think making sure trustees are active and participating on committees, even if it's, I don't know, for at least 1 year in their term, and that could be a policy, I think that just allows, others to, one, it creates a different level of participation and commitment, and it'll also allow for different knowledge and working, and also maybe give some bandwidth to a couple of other people who've been actively serving. So that's just my thought. But it is good to get trustees involved in committees.
As a requirement.
So,
but I wouldn't put it in the bylaws. I hear Tim's point, and I think
Right.
that's correct. I'm not advocating for that. But if there was some policy, that we some checks and balances that we are actively, if you sign up for a committee, that should just be an easy thing to say, hey, this person signed up for a committee, and are they participating?
But I would go beyond. I don't think it's an if. I think since the work of the board gets done in committees, it's not an if. Everyone needs to be on a committee.
It sounds like we'll be writing an attendance SOP.
Well, yeah.
I'm not asking you to write more work for people to do. I'm just saying if we're not, if just generally, hopefully when people join the board, they understand that there's the ask to you participate in the committee, right? And there's a way to say, when you join the board, you're signing up to be a trustee and you're participating in the committee.
Right. That's where the work gets done. Right. So that's part of the recruiting spiel as well as the orientation, the expectation,
Right.
committee participation.
Yes.
BC.
Yeah, I'll just quickly add, I think from a process standpoint, we could circulate like a board member agreements with the conflict of interest form that stipulates, all board members must be part of one or two committees, must attend 75% of meetings, right? Like, and folks agree annually on what the board member expectations are. Obviously, the bylaws, as close as possible, are like evergreen. Ideally, you're not amending them every year and trying to capture every policy in them, because this constitution will change, right? And different board members may have a different perspective. And so I think, if we think there are some important standards for all board members to agree to, let's outline those, send those around, and get folks to recommit and agree, and hold folks accountable for those.
I agree.
Next, we just added that all meetings and notices are in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. I think that's clear, or any successor to the Open Meetings Act, since that seems to be, they're still working on it. Vacancies, this is more just a rewrite, but this follows Tim's suggestion that vacancies will also, if you fill a vacancy, your term starts at the next annual meeting, consistent with all the other trustees. We just put it in both places. Carlos, there's some language in here about making you post a bond. We just clarified that the board would actually have to vote on that before you have to do that.
Okay.
Start. Anyway. This is a clarification. This is part of Bobby's title rewrite. But this is just clarifying that how the board supervises the CEO and head of schools. And so it's, as we do now, Bobby meets regularly with Antoine or the executive committee, and then he provides his reports to the board.
And Morgan, I'm wondering if the title should be generic, or like if when I step down, let's just how many years from now,
85.
The next person, are they going to have the same title, or I wonder if there's just something generic that we can use so that we don't have to change it every time someone new comes on, which is not a lot. I mean, in the 28 years,
I'll add like, or any successor title. I can add some successor language that should solve that. We don't have to rewrite it.
Okay.
Just make note of that. I think. Oh, okay. I think Antoine brought this up. We want to be, in order to ensure that no committee gets too large such that it would be covered by the Open Meetings Act. We just want to clarify that we did the math, and that works out to no more than 4 trustees should be on any committee at a time. Otherwise, if you have 5 in there, you are depending on the number of actual trustees we have on the board. But 4 is the safe number. Otherwise, it's governed by open meetings.
Great catch.
We've also now memorialized the executive committee. So our 5 standing committees are the Academic Excellence Committee, Finance Committee, Governance Committee, Development Committee, and the executive committee. And again, if we want to add more standing committees or non-standing committees, it's a simple majority of the vote. We'll just need to do a resolution for it. Bobby, we think the existing gift and conflict of interest policy you send around is sufficient. We might, as part of the policy rewrite, we'll look at it again this year and see if we want to make any tweaks to it. But that's that update. And then the indemnification, this is just legalese. The only substantive change here is that if any of us or any other indemnified person act with misconduct, fraud, or bad faith, they're not actually indemnified. That's a standard best practice. And we recently also confirmed with Bobby that our directors and officers policy is current. So the school has insurance to actually back up this indemnification. And then the final change is just clarification that the secretary is responsible for the books and records for bylaws purposes anyway. And then there's an open point about we just want to we'll run this by the PCSB, but we just want to make sure that's still the right code reference. We're a 501c3, but there might be a subsection or something that's more appropriate to include here. Or Bobby, you're looking at that. What does that look? Okay. All right. That's it. Any questions?
I did have one for the founder right there. So for Ms. Moore. Oh.
Yep, here we are.
I think there was, is the ship here somewhere else, like where it's I think, is it not ex officio, but what's the other one?
I think we
emeritus?
say
Emeritus, I think, like board member emeritus, or
I thought we updated everything to founder. We
Had
we just
any
had
original language. I think we felt like it was important to acknowledge somewhere. So I think Ms. Moore, that's all new language, right? We didn't have any previous language with regards to your role.
That's right. My computer's gonna freeze.
Ms. Moore, we can't hear you. Miss, you got us. Yeah. Oh, you hit it twice. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've had people
Okay.
hammering and sewing in here, so I wanted to keep. I haven't seen any language in bylaws
Right.
relative to founder before. I frankly am not sure what this says though, because there's something about a subsequent founder or something like that, which I don't understand what that is.
So, Ms. Moore, our thinking was technically because you attend these meetings, your position should be supported by the bylaws.
Right.
And so we created this founder position, but that's an acknowledgement that this school is really a product of your work and Erica's work and your family's work. And we didn't want the position to necessarily after you all have stepped down or retired, we didn't want the position to just be on the books forever, such that a third party who kind of had nothing to do with this would hold the position. And so it's set up that you are named as the founder and that you, at your will, can designate a successor to hold that position. So if there's someone in your family that you'd like to pass it along to, or someone else that's had the same kind of impact, they could take that position. Or you can choose not to, and the position goes away.
That's helpful. Okay. Thank you.
But Bobby, I think to get back to your point, we just have this, and I'm looking at the red line now compared to the original bylaws. But we just have a line that says you and the founder are non-voting members of the board.
Okay.
Which is the same kind of ex officio position. It's just in plain language. It's this line right here. So
Okay.
Right.
So I guess the founder takes the place of like Ms. Moore being emeritus, just be founder.
yeah, I mean, there's nothing actually in here about the merit. I think it was just a tradition, but there
It
was
was
no.
a suggestion, yeah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, the founder is the same thing. The
Okay.
construct. Okay.
Y'all been busy.
The blue and red makes it look busier than we were.
Great.
Okay, but any questions or otherwise? I think I'd like,
Just a quick one.
yes.
Does you were talking about Open Meetings Act and the four. Does that and you said four, but the executive committee technically does that non-voting members, do they not count towards that? Because you
Non-voting
have
members do not count towards that.
got it. Okay.
But so under the Open Meetings Act, if you have half of your board, um, it's governed by the Open Meetings Act.
Got it.
And so that was based on a number of 9, which is kind of the lowest we expected to be.
Right.
So at our current level, it's actually 5. Maybe I think that works.
Yeah, that works, Morgan.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's where we got 4. That was the lowest safety number.
Yeah, it's
Okay, but just, I was
conservative.
looking at it just as a current thing. If non-voting members count towards it, then technically the executive committee meetings are all open meetings because you were at 5.
Yeah.
The
No,
4 vote
wherever we
members.
defined it, the board is one thing, but a trustee is only defined as a voting member.
Got it.
So the board is trustees and
So
non-voting.
you can have a committee of like 7 people, but only have like 1 trustee.
Right.
And that's fine.
And the executive committee is only 4.
Yeah.
But with the executive director being added as a non-voting member, that's why I was just clarifying if the executive director counted as
Got you.
towards that number.
Right.
That was just my clarification. So I appreciate it.
Yep. Okay.
Great.
Morgan, for the Open Meetings Act, it just for clarification, and I can look into it or you can look into it. I think it has to be 51% or more. So if I'm not mistaken, I don't know. BC, do you know offhand? Or anybody, any other?
Yeah, I think that's right. That sounds right to me.
Okay. So
50% plus
maybe
1. Yeah.
maybe we rewrite the sentence. No committee meeting shall have an amount of trustees such that it would need to comply with the Open Meetings Act. Maybe.
Yeah, the language I remember is 50% plus 1.
Okay. We can remove the hardwiring and just ensure that however many trustees are a part of that committee, that the whole goal is just that committee meetings should not be subject to the Open Meetings Act. Otherwise, it's something we should really be doing here.
Right.
Okay.
Cool.
If nothing else, I will motion to tentatively approve these bylaws with the changes discussed today and share these with the PCSB for feedback and comments.
So we have a motion to approve this draft pending any additional suggestions or changes from the PCSB department of the board. Is there a second?
I second. This is Amy.
And properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, we will now enter into a roll call vote indicating aye or nay about the approval of the draft bylaws. Morgan?
Aye.
Stan?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Beatrice?
Aye.
Kadeen? we'll come back to Kadeen. Amy,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
BC,
Aye.
Carlos,
Aye.
Kadeen, are you available? If not, Anton Smith, aye. We have a majority. The motion passes. Great. We have bylaws to submit.
I have a quick question. Maybe it should have been done in the comments before the vote. But Morgan, once you clean it up and everything, will you send it to us just for one more look through just before it goes out?
Yeah, that's fine. There's no rush here, so yeah, I can do
Okay.
that. Take anything else.
Thank you.
All right. Great. Thank you, Morgan, for leading a great discussion. All right. I don't believe there are any other further discussion, actions, or voting items. Correct. Okay. Then at this point, we will move to adjourn. So there's a proposal I'll put forth to adjourn this January 10th, 2026 board meeting. Is there a motion to do so? You guys don't want to go?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
BC, it's so moved by BC. Is there a second?
Second.
Probably seconded by Tim. Any discussion? Being none, once again, we will enter into a roll call vote where I'll ask trustees to indicate aye or nay to the proposal of adjourning. Morgan.
Aye.
Stan.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Beatrice.
Aye.
Kadeen. Once again, we'll circle back. Amy.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
BC.
Aye.
Carlos.
Aye.
We'll try Kadeen once more. Anton Smith, I vote aye. The motion passes by majority. We are hereby adjourned. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate all the hard work, especially governance and all the work they put into the bylaws and really pushing us forward. Everyone have an amazing rest of your weekend.
Take care, everyone.
Take
Take care.
care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.